because more are the children of the desolate woman than of her who has a husband. And if you were a Jew, you would have smacked Paul in the face when he said this. Because what he does is he says that Hagar, the slave woman, the wrong one, the one who gave birth to Ishmael, the enemy, is a symbol of Mount Sinai where Moses got the law. Paul is saying if you follow the Jewish law, now that Jesus has come, the law was supposed to point you to Jesus, and if you follow the Jewish law now, you are a Muslim. Now, Islam didn't exist at this point in time, but he equivalently could have said the same thing. You are an Ishmaelite. You are a descendant of the wrong side of Abraham's family. You're a descendant of the slave woman, because she's the one who symbolizes Mount Sinai. Now keep going, verse 28. Now you brothers, like Isaac, are children of promise. At that time, the son born in the ordinary way persecuted the son born by the power of the Spirit. It's the same now. But what does the Scripture say? Get rid of the slave woman and her son. For the slave woman's son will never share in the inheritance with the free woman's son. Therefore, brothers, we are not children of the slave woman, but of the free woman. Paul takes everything the Judaizers would have been teaching, and he throws it out the window. Mount Sinai is pagan religion once you have Jesus. It only existed to bring them to the place where they would see Jesus, meet Jesus, know Jesus, respond to Jesus. But once Jesus has come, time is different. When time had fully come, Paul says, God sent his son, born of a woman, born under the law, to redeem those from under the law, to make them sons and heirs, and to wrap himself around them and to say, it's about Jesus and only Jesus. And all that other stuff is just gone. You follow that because it's something to be followed? That's paganism. Instead, we wrap ourselves up with Jesus, and where he goes, we go. What he says, we believe. What he does, we do. Who he loves, we love. That's where we are. We're in Jesus, with Jesus. He's in us. It's all about him, not the law. See, in all these pictures, you have a choice. And there's only one reason you have that choice. Because see, the Galatians were slaves to the basic principles. Paul was a slave to those basic principles. He was just a mere child. The Galatians were pagans. And then these other people are coercing them, and everybody's been coerced by someone. And finally, if you are obeying any kind of law just because it was the law, you're a slave there. That's what's been going on. Every one of us is a slave, but there's a reason we have a choice. Jesus came, and he died, and he rose again, and he made himself available to us so that we could enter in and find freedom in him. Once we die to ourselves and our past, we can enter into him. He can enter into us. Look at this last verse, chapter 5, verse 1. Paul says, "It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery." See, Jesus died to give you the choice to be free. If you're taking notes, jot that down. Jesus died to give you the choice to be free. But he gave you that choice, and you need to make it. This process of life transformation happens when God has done something, and when we understand it and we receive it, and then life changes. Then we experience the freedom. But you're right here in this middle. And you have to say, has the time fully come? There's a before Jesus and an after Jesus. In the span of human history, there was the law which pointed to Jesus, and then Jesus came, and now things have changed. But that's the same thing in your own heart. There's a BC and an AD in your heart, and the question is, have you crossed the line? For Paul, that line was crossed when you were baptized and made that public confession of faith before the whole church that says, I am following Jesus with my life. I'm making the decision to enter into that freedom and forgiveness. Have you done that? Maybe for you it's just been a really private thing. Maybe for you it's never been a conscious thing. You know, you were raised in the church and your whole life long you've believed that Jesus is who he says he is. But just by believing that he is who he says he is, if it doesn't change what you think about the whole world, then something's wrong. Have you entered in? Today you have an opportunity to do that. There are two symbols that are used in the Bible to demonstrate this kind of entering in. One symbol is baptism. Paul has already talked about that, where we go into the water and the water surrounds us just as Jesus surrounds us. But the second symbol is communion. And what we do today is we celebrate communion by eating a piece of bread dipped in grape juice to remind ourselves of the moment when Jesus and his disciples were sitting around a table celebrating a special day, not the Passover, but the night before his crucifixion. And Jesus gave new meaning to these things, and we don't do them because there's a law about it. We do them because it reminds us that Jesus comes into me. And so I eat, and he comes in my heart. By eating, I ask him anew to come in. There's nothing magical about the bread or the grape juice. There's nothing pagan about that. We just do it. It's symbolic, but in the doing, I say in my heart, Jesus, enter in. If this is your first time with us, or if you've just been with us a few times, we don't have any rules or requirements about who's allowed to come up here and participate in our communion time together. Like I said, you just come on up when you're ready, take a piece of bread, dip it in the grape juice, and you can stay up here. There'll be someone on either side to pray with you if you want someone to pray for you. Or you can go back to your seat, or you can eat it right then. It doesn't really matter to us, but here's the deal. There's one category of person that can come up, and there's one category of person that can't come up. If you come up to these tables and you eat from this table, you are saying, Jesus, I want you to take total control of this. I'm going to be dead, and I'm going to let your life come into me. If you never eat another morsel in your life will be short. Take that mindset when you come to this table. My life is already dead. Jesus, come into me, please. If you've never made that commitment and today you can't make that commitment, then just simply don't come up. That's okay. God will lead you down that path in his time and your time. But would you join me in prayer right now?